Ooh, whatever you want. You can toast it. I'm planning on it, you guys. Okay, we're ready to come to order. The December 18th meeting of the Planning Commission is now in session, and we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Fresco, you never sit next to me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, folks. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner McKinnon?
Present.
Commissioner Fonda-Bernard?
Here.
Commissioner Fresco?
Here.
Commissioner Pastor?
Present.
Commissioner Reese?
Here.
And Chair Lambert.
Here. Do we have a planning director's report?
Yep, so upcoming Planning Commission meeting. This is the final Planning Commission of the year. It's been a wonderful 2019 working with you all, and we look forward to the new year. So the January 1st meeting is canceled, and we will have two meetings in January, January the 15th and the 22nd. On the 15th, we have three hearing items. One is an affordable housing project, one is a creative office at Euclid, and in 1920 Colorado is the Santa Monica Brewworks CUP amendment and a map. January 22nd is a mobility-focused study session and update, the annual mobility update, and then also we will be talking about the SB 743 screening thresholds, which is the mandate by the state to have that adopted by July. And then we will be moving, we'll be moving into the East Wing, on the 22nd. So that will, it's like a few months, right, of improvements that are occurring in the council chamber. So we'll be in the East Wing from that point forward. Updates from council, as you may have heard, yesterday evening, staff recommended that the item for the PICO zoning be continued at the request of the community. In order to provide full participation, given the timing, it's been postponed indefinitely until the new year. So we'll be coming back with that. January the 14th is the first council meeting of the year. We will actually have on that council agenda right now, we have the amendments to the R1 clarification that's occurring tonight. And then on the 28th, we have the shared mobility ordinance changes, which followed up from the study session.
Are there any questions?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner McKinnon.
So on the night of the mobility discussion, will the agenda be written in a way that we could move a motion or move motions if we want?
I'm sure I can talk to the mobility division, but I'm sure we can word something that allows the commission to provide possible direction. We've often worded things like that.
Given that we haven't had a mobility discussion for a couple of years, it might be useful because you'll get the feeling of the Commission.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a couple of housing questions. I hear a lot from CCSM.
Yeah.
And one of the points they are making, and I don't think this is going to be resolved tonight, is that when January 1st rolls around, AB 1763 is going to give them the authority to increase the number of floors on their project because of the density bonus law. And the question for us, or you, is whether or not the city has to take action before that, because they don't believe they do. They don't. So
Why would they need to?
State law is state law.
state law gives them an additional 3 floors if they're within a half a mile of transit.
Yeah.
So that is true, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. The other issue they have raised, because I think the project on 14th Street is their second project, right, on 14th Street?
This is like beside the one that's under
Right,
construction now.
right. So it's kind of late for that one to be covered by this. But they, as you know, at the city council meeting, we all talked about raising the administrative approval level to at least 75 units for an affordable housing project.
Yep.
And that can't be done, I assume, without either an IZO or a code amendment. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. And we heard the council loud and clear. 100% affordable housing was definitely a top priority
Right.
in the housing, in sort of structuring what we're going to do first. So we're exploring, how we can quickly bring something back to the council.
I would underline quickly, because they have another project that's sort of in the pipeline, preliminary pipeline,
Yeah,
that they really want to go for administrative approval rather than DR.
okay.
Obviously to expedite and save time and all that stuff. So I would think that would be a high priority for us.
Yeah, we are aware. We're in pretty regular communication with our housing providers.
Excellent. Thank you.
So could I follow that? Oh, and it's Commissioner Pastor
I'm
would like to
finished.
go first.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
I have a mundane.
No one is putting in here, but that's okay.
Well,
I
you
just
look
wanna
around, you
make
see
sure
the
It's
that-
just a casual
We're
meeting.
just in the director's report right now, so I just want to make sure that we're
Oh, good
aware
point.
of where we are in terms of agenda items. So if you have other short, brief questions that the planning manager can ask, we can do that. Other than that, we're going to have a brown egg problem.
Okay, you're right.
Well, we can wait until the raising the issue for the agenda comes up, and then we can have a long discussion about these things,
Not a
can't
long
we?
discussion. You'll
That could be
by-
a
you'll
couple of
by
hours,
yourself,
actually,
right.
City Attorney. Or we could have a short one now.
My very short question is, why is February 5th and the 19th listed as special meetings?
Good point.
Because the locations are not the council
Oh.
chamber.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, is that the only questions we have of staff? What? Yeah, planning commissioner announcements. Approval of minutes, none. Statement of official action for 3030 Nebraska as amended. We all got copies of the amended STOA today. Is there a motion? I don't think you can vote on, you weren't here.
I'll move approval of the amended STOA that was received today.
And that
I'll
is,
second it.
is that a voice vote or a roll call? Voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Against? Abstain?
Elisa, Commissioner Pastor.
Okay, moving right along. 8 is the public hearing on, and this should read resolution of recommendation, not intention, because we did the ROI at the last meeting. So this is a recommendation, a resolution of recommendation to amend the zoning code to allow for lot coverage for remodels of up to 55%. And as I was mentioning to staff earlier, I got a postcard today as an R1 property owner saying that I already had that right. So we might want to do this quickly. This was clearly the intent of the council, and somehow their process got messed up, and so we're trying to clean it up and get it to council as quickly as possible. Do we want a staff report?
I always enjoy Ross's staff reports. No.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
And we have no chits.
Tony didn't put one in.
You guys, you, the members of the public. So I would take us, I assume, to a motion.
Move the motion. Move the consent calendar.
And that is a roll call? Doesn't
It's a
say.
roll call, yeah.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote? What?
I second it.
Fonda Bernardi.
Details. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner McKinnon,
Yes.
Commissioner Fonda Bernardi.
Yes.
Commissioner Fresco,
Yes.
Commissioner Pastor,
Yes.
Commissioner Reese,
Yes.
and Chair Lambert.
Yes. Discussion, none. 10 written communications, none. 11 future commission agenda items, and I think Mr. Commissioner McKinnon has something to say.
Otherwise known as Greg Moreno, apparently.
What?
Anyway, so a couple of things. This building that we have just approved highlights that there are some gaps in both our code and the Bergamot area plan, and like rats up drain pipes, people exploit them. What is the procedure now that we need to follow to close those gaps in a systematic way? That's the first question, because it structures what we need to do in terms of an agenda item. Are you bringing something back, or do we need to list something? Do we need a structured way of doing it? What exactly?
Can I respond real quickly? That was discussed at length at the City Council, the Bergamot mess, and I've talked to a couple council people since then, and they want to prioritize amendment of the Bergamot area plan post haste. They understand that this project really demonstrates that. So is that?
That doesn't get to the basement
Well, I'm
issue.
so sorry. Okay.
No, I'm not trying to be difficult, but it doesn't get to the basement issue, because that's...
I think I would view what you saw in this project as a product of some of the challenges to producing housing in Bergamot. The council did give us direction to look at potential changes to the Bergamot area plan to incentivize housing. And I think this subterranean issue will be included and packaged, with that, in terms of how that floor area is or isn't counted. And but like I said, I think the outcome here was potentially the result of standards that are in place that make it a little bit challenging to produce.
There does seem to be a basement issue
housing.
everywhere, though.
What?
I'm
well,
not trying to be funny about it. There does seem to be a basement issue. And when we had the zoning update, we must have spent night after night talking about
Definition
basements. And
of
guess what?
yeah.
That's the issue,
yeah.
whether it's on the hillsides or whatever.
There were two issues particularly raised by the City Council. One was the insane parking,
Yeah.
and then they want to look at that. And the other was there's virtually no difference in FAR between Tier 1 and Tier 2, so no developer with a brain would ever go with Tier 2 in the Bergamot area. So that's why they chose Tier 1. And I think that from what I understood from the council discussion, I was there and I spoke to them about it, is that they really want to make a much bigger difference between Tier 1 and Tier 2 to incentivize more housing production.
That doesn't alter the issue that these guys went for a bunker.
What's your issue?
underground.
What is the issue?
Well, they went for a bunker underground in terms of
Yeah.
their basement to get round.
Yeah.
That can happen again.
I think we definitely understand, the outcome that occurred here, and it's one of two projects. There was another project actually that had a similar configuration that clearly, I don't think that was something that was envisioned, intended, in the area plan. But like I said, we will be addressing that as part of reviewing the plan as a whole.
Okay, so when my memory fails me whether it was Chair Fonda Bernardi or Chair Fresco was in charge, we agreed as a commission to have study sessions routinely, I think quarterly, on various issues, and I can't recall that we've actually had one as a result of that.
Housing.
Well, the housing one, but that's a wider issue that was both at the council and here. But beyond that, there was Commissioner Fonda Bernardi keeps bringing up issues of earthquake preparedness and also solar. But we had an environment discussion here a couple of years ago, and I can't recall when it was. Was it 2 or 3 or 4? And it really is time for that again, because my mind is focused by the fact that the whole of Australia is on fire, and 105-degree days across the country, and we're having the same problem here. I think the environmental standards that we had a couple of years ago are not what they should be. Can we institute that program of having study sessions on a quarterly basis, maybe, given that less and less things seem to be now in our purview?
I mean, yeah, certainly it's something we can look at. I don't want to underestimate that there is a massive workload ahead for the division and this commission with
enormous.
respect to both housing policy and legislative changes that we're just, I'm having a major staffing challenge at the moment. And in terms of having study sessions for issues where commissioners have brought up where we have other departments coming in to make a presentation, that's less of an issue. But if it does implicate something to do with planning, we do like to put some thought, into presenting those study sessions, doing the research and what have you. But absolutely, I think it's something we can look at. If there's particular topics of interest, we've always encouraged the commission to voice that to us. And if it's environmental, for example, we can certainly have OSC come here and provide a comprehensive update on all of the initiatives that they're undertaking at the moment.
Well, and directions for the future, but
Yeah,
maybe the
absolutely.
first step
Yeah.
is that we have not reviewed for a long time that list of agenda items that commissioners have raised.
Mhm.
And the last time we did it, there were commissioners I'd never even heard of whose names were still on it. So that would be quite exciting for us all.
Yeah.
But at least that would prioritise what commissioners think is important. Commissioner Fonda Bernardi.
Just in response, Jing is, there's the staff load for the next 12 months, given the new state legislation and all the housing stuff that needs to be done, is enormous. In fact, I've even heard talk of adding staff to the planning department, which would be a wonderful thing to happen. So I want to respect that and whatever it is we ask of them to do. Commissioner Reese. Are you Anna tonight?
I was. I think I'm going to reserve. I was going to ask you, and I'm not sure this is the appropriate time, but you're talking about the bunker, and I wanted you to articulate your concerns with that.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about that, am I?
If this is something that you would like to bring back as a future agenda item, you may briefly respond to that question.
Well, it really was highlighting the issue of basements rather than talking about a specific project. I think I can't do that. We can talk offline.
Thank you. And this whole issue of agenda items for future, in my 8 years, prior 8 years, this was a constant theme. I don't know when staff is ever going to have less time to work on things, because
Well, it's particularly dire now.
you know what, during the land use, we are having 4 meetings a month. So I don't know. I mean, I agree, it'll be busy, but this is a theme I've heard before.
Yeah, and I would just raise the issue that we are a planning commission and we want to look at the broader issues to guide us, number one. And two, I think there were planning commission meetings cancelled this past year, so there's always some flexibility in it. Anyway.
It's a quorum issue sometimes too, so. Anyway, any more
Don't
comments?
nod your head at me.
Yeah. Any more comments? There is no public input because there's no public. So the meeting is adjourned.
Happy holidays, everybody.
15 minutes.
I know.
That's going to be tough to beat.
I challenge you all.